What is up, my dudes, and that one girl who remembered, oh yeah, Indian also had a 2025 release last week. He did? Yeah, I guess they did. Alright, this is Bikes, Beards, and Brews. Let's kick that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we kick this one off, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. New videos are coming weekly. If you ring that bell, you know when they drop. Let's get the other stuff out of the way. Want to save 10% on our Cardo Communicator or save some money on some Beyond Riders gear? These should definitely check my referral links down below. Want to support me and all my do-gooderness like these cool guys here? Bam! These should become part of the Brew Crew and join the coffee page down below. Want to know why I'm asking you for money? Well, next to those 10,000 Amazon affiliate links that also go to a good cause is a link explaining what I do with your money. Get it, got it, cool, let's move on. Alright guys, so last week, Harley-Davidson had its 2025 release, and quite honestly, they came in big. They brought a lot of stuff to the table. They showed us a lot of different stuff. Things I didn't like, things I did like. I did a whole video on that. Go check it out. It definitely isn't a love fest. There is a full breakdown of stuff that I just straight did not like, stuff I did like, stuff that was middle of the road. One of my concerns though, when they announced their release date, Indian almost immediately after came out and said, well, we've got our release happening the very next day. And I had mentioned in a previous video that I've seen this a lot in the past. Movie companies tend to do this, TV, music. If you've got a product that you need to release where you don't feel like it's going to be up to snuff, up to par, you're expecting to take a loss on it, or you don't want a lot of attention on it, you release it in the shadow of something else that's going to be much bigger. The example I gave last time was a horror movie that was released on the exact same day that the Avengers came out that ended up making like $120 for the day that it came out and $500 for its entire run. That's because, again, a production company will make these movies, make these TV shows, and then it turns around and they're like, well, this is just basically a write-off, so let's throw it into theaters, cut our losses, and just call it good. And they won't release it in its own sort of space because then they have to account for the fact that it bombed so hard. You release it in the shadow of something really big, and then no one's paying attention to it. And with Indian, I figured this could go one of two ways. Either this is what they were doing, releasing in the shadow to try and hide the fact that they really didn't bring anything this time, or they wanted to release immediately after to be like, boom, look at all the awesome stuff we have. It's so much better than what you just saw on the Harley channel. I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened at all. And I've mentioned this before, I want Indian to succeed. I want all these motorcycle companies to succeed. I want the new Buell to succeed because competition breeds innovation and it makes all the companies better. So I want them to succeed. I don't want to see any of these companies close their doors. With that being said, there were a lot of really odd choices made on this premiere video, and that's what we're going to get into now. So leading up to this premiere, there were a lot of different teaser videos, and the teaser videos were where I started to become concerned because it seemed like they were only focused on the fact that they were going to release the 112 Power Plus engine. And like they had all their little logos and stuff where they're like the 2025 Power Plus family. Which, yes, it is a family now. Originally, the Power Plus was only coming in on the Challengers, and then a little bit later on the Pursuits, which are basically just the Challengers with a few more tour packs and bells and whistles. Now it is on the Chieftain, and it's on the Roadmaster as well. However, you wouldn't really know that from this video, because the Roadmaster and the Pursuit are barely seen and barely acknowledged in this video. They do kind of mention it a little bit in the beginning. You do see like a little flash of a picture of them with the full lineup. But overall, the Roadmaster and the Pursuit were basically treated like those creepy uncles that your parents always kept you away from. Even during holidays, they wouldn't let you in the same room with them alone. That's kind of how it felt with those two bikes. Like, they acknowledged that they were there. They acknowledged they were part of the family. Nobody was riding them. You barely saw them in the lineup, and you barely saw them in this video. And that was just a really odd choice. Because when you're watching this video, and if you blinked and missed it, it really did just kind of appear that this family was a family of two. Like, you got the Chieftain and the Challenger, and even that, they really just focused on that Chieftain, which I kind of understand because it didn't have the Power Plus originally. The Challenger already did, but still, you're talking about the 112 engine, so you really should be focused on both of these bikes a whole lot more. If you went back and you actually timed the amount of like conversation they were having about the Chieftain versus the Challenger, you'll see that it is heavily lopsided towards that Chieftain. Let's get to the creme de la creme, the thing that this whole premiere was about to begin with, which was they now have the 112 Power Plus engine. And this is supposed to be the most amazing thing. So now they have the 108 and the 112. And they spent a lot of time talking about how powerful the 112 was, how this is just the most powerful, awesome, epic engine that they have put out. Yeah, it makes 4 extra horsepower over the 108, and it has 5 extra foot-pound of torque. That's it. So yeah, all of this was over 4 horsepower. They just made an entire video over 4 horsepower. That's rough. Now I can see why you released this in the shadow of Harley's release. And as I said, this video isn't only about the 112 Power Plus engine. They are celebrating the fact that it is now in the Chieftain and it now is in the Roadmaster, which is a variation of the Chieftain. So it's not just the fact that they're celebrating 4 horsepower. I'm not going to just take that away from them. However, that seems to be what they were like really resting everything on. That's what they built this entire thing on, was the 112 Power Plus. You look at the teaser videos, that's what you see, that 112. So that feels like it fell very flat. For me, this brings me back to one of the teasers they had, and I kind of joked about on the last video where I talked about this, where they had a guy come up to a phone booth and he started dialing a number, and you could clearly see that number. And normally when companies do that, there's some sort of Easter egg or teaser if you were to do that at home, like if you were to call that number. Same thing if you see like a barcode, a QR code, stuff like that. If you go to those, you tend to get little teasers for what's coming up, something the company wants you to have. In that video, that phone number didn't go anywhere. It was disconnected. And at the time, I said that this was a missed opportunity from Indian. Now I'm kind of second guessing. I feel like that whole segment was indicative of this entire video that they released, because it feels like they phoned it in and it didn't go anywhere. Like, this was just a sad premiere from Indian. So the other thing I feel like they fell short on was they now have the Power Plus family. They have the 112s. They're going into 4 bikes. This would be an excellent time to roll out some new colors, some new paint schemes, something to make these bikes look new and exciting. If you go to the Indian website right now and you start going through these bikes, it is the same handful of tired colors they've been using for years. This is why when you look at Indians out on the road and stuff, they all kind of feel like they're old and they've been around for a while. They really never update their colors anymore. And I've mentioned this before. Back in the day when they started Indian, when Polaris took over Indian and they started putting out bikes, they had some exciting paint jobs. They had some interesting colors. They had some really cool stuff. At some point in time, they just decided they weren't doing that anymore. And it shows. These bikes are boring when it comes to appearance. They look like everything they've been doing for the last 5 or more years, really. Can't tell because it's just been one blob of smoke, thunder, black. Another thing I found really interesting was I was in the premiere and I was watching the chat go by, and in the beginning a couple guys were like, oh, I hope Indian doesn't just price everyone out like Harley does. And some of the guys like, no, they would never do that to us. Well, to get a bike with a 112 Power Plus engine in it, you are going to spend a bare minimum of $31,500. That is the absolute cheapest you can get the 112 for. They do not offer the 112 in the base model Chieftain or Challenger. Those only come with 108s. And I'm fine with that. I mean, honestly, I feel like that's the way it should be. If anything, the 108 should be reserved for just those bikes. However, you can choose the 108 or 112 in any of the bikes in the lineup as long as it's not the base model. So 31.5 just to get the 112, just to get that extra 4 horsepower. Now, here's where some of you just start angry typing. You're like, well, it still has more horsepower than a Harley and a Road Glide. It'll blow the wheels off. Yes, you are correct. However, the cheapest Road Glide or Street Glide that you can get right now is $28K, which means there is a $3,000 difference between that Road Glide and Street Glide or this Challenger or Chieftain. Now I'm telling you straight out, with $3 grand, I can pick a different color than that horrible primer gray that Harley now offers as their base color, and I could get this bike tuned and still have a few extra bucks in my pocket and still be able to have the same horsepower in a better color than what Indian is offering on the Chieftain or Challenger. That, shots fired, I don't care. Like, they have priced you guys out, and that is, if I was you, I'd be a little angry about that if you are a diehard Indian fan. On that note as well, the base model Indian Challenger, when it first came out in 2000, was $22K. Now in 2025, it is $26.5 with no changes, none at all. So they have been jacking that thing up thousands year after year. And I don't hear any of you guys complaining about that. You sure as hell get mad when Harley jacks up their prices. Why don't you turn around and take care of your own house for a little while, because Indian's been doing this to you for quite a while. Now, the other funny part about that is they've added some safety features. However, you can only get the safety features if you buy the 112. I even picked a 108 and I went into the custom build your own bike and I looked to see if I could add some of these safety features on. Not there. You need to buy the 112. That's pretty rough. So they want you to be safe. They want you to make it home alive as long as you're willing to spend $31.5 bare minimum to get that 112. That's harsh, Indian. That is harsh. Like, holy hell. 2 of the safety features they had were absolutely just maddening. Like, I can't believe that these are things, and I can't believe they decided this was a smart thing to bring to the table. One of them was blind spot monitoring. So, like, when you're riding, if there's someone in your blind spot, you get the light in your mirror. Not just a little one like you do in cars. It's like a whole, like, ribbon on the inside of your mirror. I would hate that. First off, that's a huge distraction, because if you're on a 2-lane, 3-way highway, those things are just gonna be going off like strobe lights. Like, that is nuts. And you know what? I'm on a motorcycle. I'm not driving a Hummer. You know how I know if there's someone in my blind spot? I do this. Like, what the hell, man? There is no need for blind spot monitoring on a motorcycle. You don't have blind spots. You just turn and look. It's not like a car. It's not like a truck. This is just asinine. I don't know why this is the thing. The other thing they had are tailgate warnings. So if a car is following you too closely in your console, it'll start flashing up a warning saying that the car behind you is too close. You know how I know a car's too close? I use my mirrors. There's one here, there's one here. I look at it, I go, wow, that car's really close. I don't need that popping up on my screen nonstop. I live in the Boston area. You know what this would turn into? This would mean I would never see what's on my screen because there'd always be a tailgating warning. Like, who thought that this was a good idea? This is pointless. I don't even know why they're offering this, but maybe that's their way to justify the fact that you just spent $31.5 on 4 extra horsepower. At the end of the day, I feel like the biggest miss that they had here was they didn't keep some air-cooled engines in those Chieftains, because there are people that absolutely love that Thunderstroke engine. They love the air-cooled engine. They want that. They don't want the Power Plus. So just to like sit there and maybe keep one lineup where it's like maybe Chieftain Classic or something, where you had that air-cooled Thunderstroke engine, that would have been cool. I feel like that is a missed opportunity on Indian's part. Hell, they should have did it where you can now have the choice on both bikes, where if you want a Challenger with the Thunderstroke, if you want the Chieftain with the Thunderstroke, that's great. Like, make it so you can pick. This is something that I have been shouting from the mountaintops for years now. I've been wanting Harley to do that with their Road Glide. Put the Rev Max in there, but also offer like the M8. You could choose your destiny. And Indian was this close to doing it. And then they didn't. I don't know. Nonetheless, I feel like this was just a huge miss. And honestly, I hope that Indian corrects course soon. Because like I said in the beginning, like, you want that competition. You want it to succeed. Competition breeds innovation. And it's the same with all you Indian fans out there. You should want Harley to be succeeding, because that's going to make Indian work harder to put out better stuff. And unfortunately, this time just didn't happen. Just did not happen. So hopefully they fix that soon. But what do you think? Throw it in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, share this video with friends, share it with family, share it with that one creepy uncle you know that you're still kind of forced to talk to and you don't like it. He loves this stuff, trust me. I'll see y'all on the flip side.